Hello and good morning, good evening and good afternoon from you joining me. Today I'm going to try and do as much as I can of Nazir Daf 53b. So let's dive straight in. The Gemara analyzes this ruling of the Mishnah. A half covered bones, yes, Nazir must shave if he contacts impurity from them. A quarter covered bones, no, he does not. What are the circumstances? If we say that they contain bones that are barley grain bulk, what does that mean? Let's look into the footnote. The commentaries ask, since the Mishnah is dealing with the rich impurity and part of in a tent, why does the Gemara inquire about the case of a bone, the volume of a barley grain bulk, which is not impart impurity in a tent? They answer that the basis for the question is the statement of the subsequent Mishnah in 54b, that although a Nazirite does not shave for the underlaying a quarter covered bones, he is obligated to shave for touching or carrying it. And if so, the Mishnah statement concerning a half covered bones, which excludes a quarter covered bones, likewise is referring to impurity imparted by contact, that are barley grain bulk. Then the Tana of the Mishnah derives the halacha that it imparts rich impurity due to the fact that it is a bone that is a barley grain bulk. But the Mishnah is referring to a situation where it has been made like flour. So what does that mean? A quarter covered bones from one corpse does not contain a single bone the volume of a barley grain bulk, imparts impurity in a tent, as though it included a bone of this size. The halacha is according to the opinion of the rabbis, because the Mishnah of the Rambam does not specify whether a Nazirite shaves for touching or carrying this quarter calf, but Totvat and the Meiri rule that he is obligated to shave that. So the Rambam says Tahara Tumas Mace 4:4. In that case, a quarter covered bones render people and items impure in a tent, although they do not include a bone in the volume of a barley grain bulk. The Mishnah taught that a Nazirite shaves for a limb severed from a corpse and for a limb severed from a living person, upon either of which there is a fitting quantity of flesh. The Gemara asks, if there is not a fitting quantity of flesh upon them, what does that mean? In aleihen basa karoi. If a Nazirite was rendered richly impure by a limb severed from a living person, or by a limb severed from a corpse that was not covered by a fitting quantity of flesh, he requires sprinkling on the third and seventh days. However, he does not shave for his impurity, nor does he bring his offerings. He does not negate his earlier period of Naziriteship, although his days of impurity do not count toward his term of Naziriteship. The halacha is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, and that's the Rambam Teva Flah Yochanan Nazir 7:6-7. Just goes up there. What is halacha? Rabbi Yochanan said the Nazirite does not shave for them. Reish Lakish said the Nazirite does shave for them. The Gemara explains their respective opinions. Rabbi Yochanan said the Nazirite does not shave for them, as the Tana teaches in the first clause of the Mishnah in the list of sources of rich impurity for which a Nazirite must shave. For limb severed from a corpse and for limb severed from a living person that contains a fitting quantity of flesh, one can infer from this those upon which there is an olive bulk of flesh, yes, he must shave for them. But if there is not that amount of flesh upon them, no, a Nazirite need not shave due to them. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish says that he shaves employing the following reasoning. From the fact that the Mishnah does not teach the following in the latter clause, i.e. in the subsequent Mishnah 54a, in the list of sources of impurity for which a Nazirite need not shave, a limb does not contain a fitting quantity of flesh, one can infer that a Nazirite is obligated to shave for a limb of that type. And Rabbi Yochanan could have said to you, in response to Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish's argument, the fact that the Mishnah omits this case from the list is not proof, as the Tana does not teach in the latter clause anything that can be understood by inference from the earlier Mishnah. The Gemara raised a difficulty against this clause and Rabbi Yochanan. But the first clause of the Mishnah lists the case of a quarter covered bones, which indicates a half covered bones, yes, and Nazirite must shave for that. A quarter covered bones, no. He is not obligated to shave for that. And yet the Tana teaches in the latter clause that a Nazirite does not shave for quarter covered bones. This shows that the next Mishnah does not rely on the rulings of the Mishnah. Rather, it lists all the items for which a Nazirite need not shave. The Gemara rejects this argument. There, had the Tana not taught a quarter covered bones, I would say that he need not shave even for touching it or carrying it. For this reason, it was necessary for the Mishnah to teach that the case of a cord-covered bones to indicate that it is only for the rich impurity contracted in a tent that a Nazarite does not shave. He will raise that further difficulty. But the Mishnah lists a half log of blood among those sources of impurity for which a Nazarite must shave, from which you can learn that for a half log of blood, yes, he shaves, for a quarter log of blood, no, he does not shave. And yet, the latter clause of the Mishnah teaches that he did not shave for a quarter log of blood. The Gemara answers, it is also necessary to state this halacha unambiguously there to exclude the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. La'apuke min Rabbi Akiva. According to the standard version of the text, the Gemara is saying that emphasis of the Mishnah on the phrase a quarter log, which indicates that this volume of blood comes from a single corpse, in contrast to Rabbi Akiva's ruling that blood imparts rich impurity in this amount, even if it comes from two corpses. Come to another. Most commentaries omit this sentence, as Rabbi Akiva said from two corpses. They maintain that the reference here is to Rabbi Akiva's argument in the Mishnah at the end of the chapter in 56b, that the Nazarite should shave for a quarter cup of blood. As Rabbi Akiva said, a quarter log of blood that comes from two corpses render people and items impure in a tent, whereas the Mishnah simply says a quarter log, which indicates that all of the blood comes from a single corpse. The Gemara analyzes the dispute between Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. What are the circumstances of this limb severed from a corpse that is not covered by sufficient flesh? If it contains a bone that is a barley grain bulk, what is Rabbi Yochanan's reasoning for maintaining that a Nazarite does not have to shave for this rich impurity? A bone of this size imparts impurity even if there is no flesh upon it. And if it does not contain a bone that is a barley grain bulk, what is Rabbi reason for saying that a Nazarite must shave due to this bone? The Gemara explains that Reish Lakish could have said to you, actually we are dealing with a limb that does not contain a bone that is a barley grain bulk, and even so, the Mishnah one includes it as a source of rich impurity. This is as it is taught in a Braita. And whoever in the open field touches one who is slain by the sword, or one who dies on his own, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean for 7 days. Numbers 19:16. This verse is expounded by the sage as follows. In an open field. This is referring to the halacha of one who overlies a corpse. What does that mean? A corpse renders one richly impure for 7 days by imparting impurity in a tent as stated in the Torah. This includes situations where a person or vessel overlies a corpse, and Ram saves the heart. Yechotumas Mace 1:10. The halacha of rich impurity imparted by a corpse, including a tent covering a corpse, are discussed in great detail in Tractate Ohalot. The essential halacha of a tent of a corpse are detailed in the Torah, Numbers chapter 19. The sages derive that the place in which a corpse is located becomes entirely impure and renders everything in that place impure as well. By Torah, this halacha applies when a corpse is located in a complete tent. However, the sages conclude that even the smallest area that can be deemed a tent, an item with the size of 1 square handbreadth that covers 1 handbreadth of airspace, also falls under the same rubric. The covering itself and what's under it are rendered impure with the impurity imparted by a corpse, even without touching it. One who is slain, this is referring to a limb slain, i.e. severed from a living person that contains enough flesh for the limb to heal. So what does that mean? If a limb severed from a living person is covered with enough flesh for it to heal, were it still attached, it imparts rich impurity by contact, carrying an inner tent. If any part of the bone itself is missing, it does not render people and items impure. If it lacks sufficient flesh, it imparts impurity by contact and carrying, but not in intent. Roman safe to Hora Hilchot made 2:3. The sages further derive from the phrase "one who is slain by the sword" that the legal status of a metal sword, in terms of the degree of rich impurity, is like one who is slain. So what's the footnote there? All the commentators and authorities agree that a special halacha applies to a metal vessel rendered richly impure by a corpse. as it imparts impurity to the corpse itself, so that one who touches it is impure for 7 days. This is in contrast to any other vessel that was rendered impure by a corpse. Nevertheless, there are differences of opinion as to whether a sword is like a corpse in all regards, including the impurity imparted in a tent, or whether it imparts impurity only by contact, and some say by carrying as well. Likewise, some authorities maintain that just as it is accepted for the word sword includes all metal implements, the same halacha applies to all vessels that can be purified in ritual bath, including wooden ones and the like. Some authorities maintain that any vessel rendered ritually impure by a corpse, whether by contact carrying or in a tent, imparts impurity by contact like the corpse itself, except for those items that can be purified in ritual bath, e.g. earthenware vessels and Rambam. Others rule that even these implements impart impurity by carrying to the Ramban. Yet others contend that this principle applies only to metal vessels, although they rule that these articles render people and items impure even in attempts to derive in the Tosfot. Some authorities maintain that a priest is prohibited from contracting impurity from a sword that was rendered impure by a corpse, whereas others are lenient. The custom is not to be stringent in this regard. Rambam Sefer Tahara Hilchot is made 5.3, Shulchan Aruch Yoreh 369.1, and the comment of the Ramah, i.e. a metal implement, e.g. a sword, that was rendered impure through contact with a corpse. Through contact with a corpse is impure to the same degree of severity as the corpse itself. Or one who dies on his own, there is a limb that was slain, i.e. severed from a corpse. A limb severed from a corpse imparts impurity like a whole corpse, provided it contains flesh, tendons, and bones. If part of the bone is missing, but not all the bulk of flesh remains, it imparts impurity like the whole body. Some maintain that this bone imparts impurity only via contact and carrying to derive it. If some of the flesh is lacking, but enough remains that with this limb attached to the living person it would heal, it imparts impurity like an intact corpse. If it is not covered by sufficient flesh, it is like a regular bone or corpse. Rambam Sefer Tahara Hilchot Mace 2.4, and is covered with enough flesh that it will heal if it were alive. Or a bone of a man, this is a quarter cup of bones. What does this mean? Quarter cup of bones from a corpse imparts impurity by contact, carrying, and in a tent, even if the bones comprise neither the majority of the number of bones in a body, nor the majority of its structure, nor a whole spine, nor a whole skull. If the bones amount to less than a quarter cup, they do not impart impurity in a tent. That's in Rambam Sefer Tahara Hilchot Mace 2.9. Or grave, this is a sealed grave. What does that mean? Zed Kever Sasum. If a grave containing a corpse is sealed up, it imparts impurity by contact in a tent. Consequently, a priest who touches the grave is liable to receive lasting. Rambam Sefer Tahara Hilchot Mace 2.15, and the Sefer Shotim Hilchot Eivel 3.2. Various halacha apply to a sealed grave, although the details of these halacha are subject to differences of opinion among the early commentaries. The basic halacha accepted by everyone is that a sealed grave that lacked the space of a handbreadth between the corpse and its cover imparts impurity in a tent in the manner of oppressed ritual impurity. In other words, it renders impure anything positioned above the grave, even if a stone partition separates the corpse from that which overlies it, which imparts impurity when there is less than a handbreadth between the corpse and the cover. And that's the end of that Omid. Thank you for listening, and feel free to subscribe, leave any comments, and wish you all the best and peace in Israel. Take care, bye.